Truong My Lan, once a symbol of business success in Vietnam, is now infamous for one of the largest financial scandals the country has ever seen. Let's take a closer look at how her glamorous ascension turned into secretive fraud and shocking fall, ended by an irreversible death sentence. This isn't just a story about wealth and power, it's a tale of deception, manipulation, and the consequences of unchecked ambition. Stick with us and by the end, you'll see how Truong My Lan's world unraveled and what it means for those who chase power without limits.
A property tycoon has been sentenced to death.
Guilty of embezzlement, bribery, and violations of banking rules.
Truong My Lan was not just any businesswoman. She was a force to be reckoned with in Vietnam's real estate market. Being born into a very poor family, Lan has been a great aspiration for success. So she set up Vạn Thịnh Phát Group in 1992, later on became one of the leading real estate developers within the country. From small projects to billion-dollar deals, it shifted from modest beginnings to aggressive multi-billion-dollar deals that revolutionized Ho Chi Minh City's skyline. Lan built her empire gradually and through the use of charm and cunning, as well as business acumen. Of course, however, Lan did not build her empire just because she was diligent at the same time. She had really important connections. She met influential politicians and businessmen. It was her contacts that would sustain her as she navigated her way through the complex business environment of Vietnam, in which knowing people counts much more than knowing things. The power she developed went beyond business into politics and finance and gave her a formidable network that shielded her for many years from questions. It didn't come overnight, and it sure didn't grow overnight without some sort of fight. And even the economy in Vietnam was booming kind of as Vietnam opened some market-oriented reforms in the 1990s. Lan took all the opportunity she could and used new rules as stepping stones to success. She is bright and always planning. She knew how to position herself and her company for benefit in a changing economy of the country. Her bold growth led to very important projects, such as luxury hotels, shopping centers, and apartment buildings. And therefore, she became an important person involved in changing the country's economics. Now, let's talk about the theft which led to her being murdered. Not only was it cheating, but this is an 84-person involved in a complex plan in which these were her husband, niece, and many others. The core part of the fraud used was getting large loans on lying and raising the prices of properties by taking money through fake companies. It was a highly complex operation exploiting loopholes in the banking regulation of Vietnam. It accordingly exploits weaknesses that many considered safe. For the swindle, Lan and her cohorts could divert billions of dollars into their pockets that were meant for real investors and financial institutions. This was chump change, worth $44 billion lost in a labyrinth of offshore accounts, paper transactions, and phantom assets. To sustain this charade of success, Lan used her influence to cause the authorities not to act. Any probe was further derailed or buried that way. Lan was extremely elaborate. She established a network of shell companies that at first appeared to be an ordinary way to organize business, but in the end it became a useful means to conceal and launder ill-gotten gains. These companies were registered in various locations, which made tracing investigators even more difficult. Her inner circle of trusted family members and sycophantic friends ensured that every deal was thickly veiled behind fabricated documents and fake audits, replete with all the trappings of a successful, real business empire. This charade continued for years. They invested in projects for Vạn Thịnh Phát Group. The banks trusted Lan's good name and political ties were some kind of protection. But as the saying goes, the higher you fly, the farther you fall. And so it was that all of this started to crumble when a whistleblower, a former associate, who was no longer happy with the setup, came forth and gave proof that confirmed the fake loans, the shell companies, and the hidden transactions that had supported Lan's empire. It followed a very exhaustive probe. The truth must surely be found within that maze of lies, fake documents, and intimidations by influential people not to have the truth out. Slowly but surely the truth began to unravel itself. It was not just the whistleblower, other employees, either bullied or exhausted by the situation, began to aid the authorities. Evidence mounted, then came searches, arrests, and finally the capture of Lan. It was not without their challenges. It seems that most of the investigators found it extremely difficult to penetrate the inner circle of such influential people in the government and banks. Lan tried her best to terrorize some case participants, and several key witnesses were threatened with their safety. However, such a tangled web of lies by Lan was unraveled through the determination of the authorities and the courage of whistleblowers. The international world also came forward to help, and international banks did their best to trace the movement of money within a country. It's a scary number. $44 billion cannot be easily visualized. Behind the number, though, were actual people, families who lost everything, workers who overnight found themselves without a job, and communities that got hurt because of skull projects. Many ordinary people trusted Lan's company as a means to secure their future. Instead, they ended up with nothing but broken promises and financial disaster.
Ho Thi Hung is one of more than 35,000 people affected. She had trusted the bank with $500,000.
The ripples across Vietnam, the trust the people had in the financial system began to disappear, and the real estate in the country really suffered a lot. It was no longer only a financial scandal but a violation that hurt many lives. There are victims who are not only investors but believers in a vision, the promise of prosperity, which eventually proved to be a big lie. Many families who invested in housing projects developed by Vạn Thịnh Phát find themselves now left without homes as construction is completely stopped. These small entrepreneurs had invested money in commercial properties and realized that their investments were just broken promises with no money. The effect on the emotional side was huge. People lost money, but that's not all. They lost hope for a better future. So many people reported sharing their experiences on how they were wooed by the glossy ads of this company and how the company promised to give them big returns. This case was very strong when it went to trial for Truong My Lan. Court trials were pointed out showing showing the extent of such corrupted acts she was into, from fraudulent manipulation of the Banking Act, bribery of officials, and silencing those with dissenting voices through her position. On April 11, 2024, she was sentenced to death by hanging on charges of embezzlement, bribery, and banking violation. The ruling came as a shock to the people of Vietnam as it reminded everyone that no one is above the law. Lan's sentence wasn't just for her, but to anyone who thought they could get away with breaking the law with no strings attached. That was an important moment to show that the government was really serious about fighting up to the top of corruption. Enough though? Will this stop others? Or just find other ways to take advantage of the system? The trial itself was really a media spectacle and quite well publicized. All this, the public, at this time witnessed and saw the details of Lan's cheating. People thought she bought power with money and utterly ignored the rules in destroying lots of trust in people. The court had full-time victims, reporters, and curious visitors who wanted to see justice be done. Most appreciated it, thinking it the right thing to do and taking responsibility for what was done. Others again thought it too harsh a punishment. The Truong My Lan saga sums up the danger of unchecked ambition and the danger of power without accountability. No doubt, behind every successful empire are shadows which should not remain hidden truths lest catastrophe befall. Transparency, ethical business practices, and a sound regulatory framework speak for themselves and importance placed upon them. For viewers, the message is simple: be careful of people who make big promises but are secretive. Ask where your money is going, who is in charge of it, and how they are responsible. In this world where billionaires can gain or lose everything in a matter of seconds, knowing the power struggles is important to keep yourself safe from being another victim of greed. It is clearer than ever that stronger rules and better checks are in order. Governments need to ensure those with power are treated differently than the rest. Financial companies should focus on careful work and openness, and investors need to pay attention. This is not just one story of loss of respect, but problems in a system that allowed her to work unchecked for so long. This is the story of Truong My Lan wanting more, deceiving others, and the price paid for improper acts. It is a story by which each of us should be thoughtful about how we perceive money and success, and perhaps appreciate those at the top a little too soon without inquiring how they got there. Have we managed to close our eyes and our mind to the warning signs while everything appears to be just so perfect? As we close this journey, we hope you feel better informed, more aware, and maybe even a little bit more careful. And as all dangers lie hidden in the world of high finance and big business, one needs to light up these dark areas to be able to discover the truth. This reminds me of the strength that people want justice. Heroes, in this case, are the whistleblowers and investigators along with the victims, who are brave enough to share their story. It was their braveness against threats and fear that brought an empire down, founded on lies. It shows that truth is really strong and necessary to be held responsible even at the highest level. If you found this story eye-opening, please like this video and share it with others who need to hear it. Let's spread awareness about the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of accountability. Subscribe for more in-depth looks into the stories that shape our world. And remember, the truth is always worth knowing. If you found this video informative, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more of these kinds of videos. Thanks for watching. Comment down what you want to see next. Write down and share to us if any such scams that you know. I hope you liked this one. See you next time.